Welcome. Thank you.
Hello.
Come on, let me hear it. Welcome home.
Steve Buscemi is an American actor, director, screenwriter, and producer, known for his roles in the films Reservoir Dogs, Con Air, and Boardwalk Empire. He won the audience not only with his outstanding talent, but also with his extraordinary appearance. In this video, we will tell you about the creative and personal life of the charismatic actor. How Steve Buscemi lives and how much he earns. Stephen Vincent Buscemi was born on December 13, 1957 in Brooklyn, New York. The father of the future actor, John, a Korean War veteran, dreamed all his life to become a cameraman but worked as a sanitation worker, and his mother, Dorothy, worked as a hostess at Howard Johnson's. Steve has a diverse bloodline. Ancestors on his father's side were Italian, originally from Sicily, and his mother's ancestors were Dutch, Irish, and English. Buscemi got help finding his mother's lineage roots through the popular TV project Who Do You Think You Are? In 2011. Steve grew up in a large family. He has 3 brothers, John, Ken, and Michael. The latter also became an actor later on, though not as successful as Steve. The Buscemi family lived modestly, but the children were never ashamed of their situation and helped their parents with the household chores. When Steve was 10 years old, the family moved to Valley Stream on Long Island, where he graduated from Valley Stream Central High School in 1975. That's where Buscemi developed his passion for acting. In high school, he participated in drama club and often performed on stage. Steve was also a member of the wrestling team. After high school, the guy entered Nassau Community College in Garden City, New York, but the money saved was enough only for the first term, after which Buscemi dropped out and moved to Manhattan, where he began to study at the Lee Strasberg Theater and Film Institute. There, Buscemi finally realized he was in the right place. The student not only enjoyed acting on stage, but also wrote scripts and even self-staged plays in small New York theaters. It's worth noting that Steve has tried his hand at stand-up comedy as well. Together with actor Mark Boone Jr., they formed a duo and began performing together. The New York Times called their performance "theater works in the absurdist vein." To support himself while studying, Steve worked at quite a number of jobs. He was a loader, waiter, newspaper delivery man, and even an ice cream man. At the same time, at his father's urging, Steve took the civil service exam as a firefighter. By the 1980, he got a job at the busiest fire station in the city, where he served for 4 years. While working as a firefighter, Steve never abandoned his dream of becoming an actor. Therefore, having saved enough money by 1984, he went to conquer Hollywood. A year later, Buscemi debuted in cinema, starring in the comedy The Way It Is. But this role did not bring him fame. In 1986, the young man appeared in episodes of the series Not Necessarily the News and Miami Vice, and also starred in the dramas Sleepwalk and Parting Glances. In the latter, he played a rock musician dying of AIDS, and the actor himself considers this role to be the start of his career. Notably, this movie was the first Hollywood project that spoke openly about the plague of the 20th century. The director of the film, Bill Sherwood, died of this disease 5 years later. In 1987, Steve appeared in an episode of the TV series The Equalizer, and also starred in the drama Heart and the thriller Kiss Daddy Goodnight. That same year, the man married director and producer Mary Jo Andres, whom he had met back in the early 1980s. At the time they met, Buscemi and Andres were neighbors, and Steve was so in love with the girl that every day he tried to time his dog walking with her leaving for work or coming home. This strategy worked, and soon Jo herself fell in love with Steve, and at that point, she had no idea that he was an up-and-coming star. 3 years after the wedding, the couple had a son, Lucien. Later on, the guy also tried his hand at acting, but didn't achieve the same success as his father. Lucien is currently the vocalist in the band Fiasco. In 1988, Steve appeared in an episode of the series Crossbow and also starred in the melodrama Vibes and in the thrillers Call Me and Heart of Midnight. The following year, the actor could be seen in the miniseries Lonesome Dove and the short film Coffee and Cigarettes 2 and the dramas Mystery Train, Bloodhounds of Broadway, Slaves of New York, and New York Stories. In the latter, he played comedian Gregory Stark, a nightclub performer. In the early 1990s, Steve starred in the TV series Monsters, in the horror film Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, and crime thrillers King of New York as a member of a criminal gang and Miller's Crossing, portraying Mink, a subordinate of the Italian mafia godfather. Notably, Buscemi had to audition twice for the role of Mink, but his persistence was justified, and eventually it became one of the most outstanding works of the actor.
Got not a thing to say. Listen, Bernie wants to see what's important.
Yeah, well, I'm right here. I'm not made of glass.
Yeah, but he's nervous walking around in public, Tommy. He's the right guy, but he's very nervous. I mean, who wouldn't be?
Critics from Time magazine name the film one of the 100 best movies ever made since the magazine's inception. In 1991, Steve could be seen in the thrillers Zandalee and Billy Bathgate, an episode of the series LA Law, as well as in the drama Barton Fink, in which he played Chet the bellhop. Notably, the creators of the project, the Coen brothers, with whom the actor had previously worked in the movie Miller's Crossing, wrote this role specifically for him. In 1992, Buscemi appeared in the TV series Mad About You, and also starred in the dramas Crisscross, Claude, and In the Soup. In the latter, he played the quiet and insecure screenwriter Adolfo Rollo.
Don't be sad, because I'm gonna put you in my movie.
And who says I want to be in a movie?
Oh, this isn't going to be just any movie. It's going to be good.
In the same year, Quentin Tarantino's crime thriller Reservoir Dogs was released, in which Steve played one of the participants of the robbery, Mr. Pink. By the way, the director of the movie originally wrote this role for himself, but in the end, he preferred to play Mr. Brown, after which the part went to Steve.
I know I'm no piece of shit. I'm pretty sure you're okay. I'm positive you're on the level. So let's try and figure out who the bad guy is, all right?
Amusingly, Mr. Pink's behavior regarding tipping the waitress is entirely lifted from young Tarantino. Quentin admitted that he used to behave similarly to Buscemi's character when he was struggling financially. Steve himself said that after the premiere of the movie, he was very afraid that people would point at him and say, "That's the greedy guy." And to somehow protect himself from scornful looks from other people, the man now overtips, and forgetting to tip someone is now one of his phobias. The film received many positive reviews and brought fame not only to the director, but also to the actors of the project. Interestingly enough, singer Alicia Beth Moore started using her alias Pink after seeing this movie. She was watching it with friends, and at one point, the young people started parodying the characters and realized that Alicia resembled Buscemi's character the most. In 1993, the man appeared in the TV series Tales from the Crypt and The Adventures of Pete and Pete, and also starred in the action film Rising Sun, the comedy Ed and His Dead Mother, the drama 20 Bucks, and the TV western The Last Outlaw. Then Steve's filmography expanded with the comedies The Hudsucker Proxy, Floundering, The Search for One-Eyed Jimmy, and Airheads, as well as the drama Somebody to Love and the cult film Pulp Fiction. Interestingly enough, Steve was originally supposed to play Jimmy, a character that Quentin Tarantino ended up portraying. However, due to employment in other projects, Buscemi was unable to accept the offer. Instead, he played an episodic role of a waiter. In 1995, the actor appeared in an episode of the series Homicide: Life on the Street, in which he also acted as a director. He also starred in the drama Living in Oblivion, the thriller Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, and in the action film Desperado, playing a friend of the main character performed by Antonio Banderas.
Thanks. But no thanks. I'm clearing out of here, boys. Because I think he's headed this way.
This role was written specifically for Steve, and the creators could not find a suitable name for the character, so they decided to call him just that, Buscemi. At that time, Steve was involved in other projects, so the filming was held in a tight schedule, and all the scenes with his participation were filmed in just 7 days. The following year, the actor could be seen in the drama Trees Lounge, in which he not only played the lead role, but also acted as a writer and director. The movie is about a slacker, Tommy, who spends most of his time in his hometown. According to Buscemi, this script is based in part on his real life in his younger years. Moreover, the shooting of the film took place in the village where Steve grew up.
Where you going? Wanna go get some breakfast?
Don't you ever stop?
No.
The actor also starred in the sci-fi action film Escape from LA, as well as in the thrillers Kansas City and Fargo. In the latter, he portrayed the chatty criminal Carl, a role that was written specifically for him.
What's this, sir?
My license and registration. Yeah, I want to be in compliance. I was just thinking we could take care of it right here, in Brainerd.
The film received astounding reviews, and many critics called it one of the best movies of all time. Steve and his movie partner, Peter Stormare, were also nominated for the MTV Movie Award for Best On-Screen Duo. In 1997, Buscemi starred in the drama The Real Blonde and the action film Con Air. The role of a psychotic maniac in the latter earned him a Saturn Award nomination.
2 went down, 1 came up.
Wasn't my fault.
Well, you don't have to tell me. Most murders are crimes of necessity rather than desire, but the great ones.
In the same year, the magazine Empire included the actor in their top 100 movie stars of all time list. In 1998, Steve was featured in the sitcom The Drew Carey Show, the drama Lewis and Frank, and the sci-fi action film Armageddon. According to Buscemi, he was supposed to play a heroic geologist and was very happy about it, as the actor is pretty tired of playing scumbags and villains. But in the process of filming, the script was changed, making his character look much less noble.
We go.
I don't mean to be the materialistic weasel of this group, but you think we'll get hazard pay out of this?
Interestingly enough, when Steve's character goes off the rails in the movie, the rest of the crew immobilizes him with duct tape, which is what NASA's guidelines for astronauts actually require in such cases. In the same period, the man starred in the comedies The Imposters and The Big Lebowski. In the latter, he played Donnie, a bowling team member who dies of a heart attack.
Woo! I'm slamming him tonight. You guys are dead in the water.
All right, way to go, Donnie!
Funnily enough, Buscemi often plays characters who don't make it to the end of the movie. He even admitted that when he receives a script for a new project, he immediately asks how long his character lives. However, he considers his death in The Big Lebowski to be his favorite. The film received mostly positive reviews from critics and eventually gained cult status, and the principles professed by the main character became the basis for the philosophical movement Dudism. In 1999, Steve starred in the comedy drama Big Daddy, starring Adam Sandler. Notably, Buscemi co-stars with him very often, and they are good friends in real life. The guys worked on 14 projects together. In the early 2000s, Steve's filmography was expanded with the dramas 28 Days, Animal Factory, in which he also acted as producer and director, The Gray Zone, Double Whammy, and Ghost World. In the latter, the actor played a shy, single loser who becomes the crush of a high school graduate. For this role, Steve was nominated for a Golden Globe Award.
What, are we in slow motion here? Come on, what are you, hypnotized? Have some more kids, why don't you? Jesus Christ, move it! Seymour! God.
In addition, Buscemi took part in the voiceover of the animated projects Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within and Monsters, Inc., and also starred in the crime thriller Domestic Disturbance. During the filming of this project, Steve experienced a terrible incident. He and fellow cast members Vince Vaughn and Scott Rosenberg were hanging out after work at a local bar when a fight broke out between them and 2 customers. This resulted in Buscemi suffering several stab wounds. The actor was hospitalized, but luckily the wounds were superficial and he quickly returned to work. However, he will always be reminded of this experience by the scar on his cheek. In subsequent movies, they had to use heavy makeup to hide it. Similar misfortunes had happened to Steve before. As a young boy, he was hit by a bus and suffered a skull fracture. And a short time later, Buscemi found himself under the wheels of a car trying to catch a ball that rolled into the driveway. That time, he got away with cuts and bruises. Steve jokes that trouble keeps following him because he was born on Friday the 13th. However, there is a positive side to these stories. He used the money he received from settlements after incidents to attend the Lee Strasberg Institute. In 2002, Steve starred in the drama The Laramie Project and Love in the Time of Money, the comedies 13 Moons and Mr. Deeds, spy action comedy Spy Kids 2: The Island of Lost Dreams, portraying the scientist-geneticist Romero.
Weren't falling. It was an illusion.
Magic?
Science.
The following year, he reprised the role in the sequel to the franchise Spy Kids 3D Game Over, and also starred in the fantasy drama Big Fish, in the anthology film Coffee and Cigarettes, and took part in the voiceover of the animated sitcom The Simpsons. In 2004, the actor voiced one of the characters in the animated film Home on the Range and also played Tony Blundetto, cousin of the main character in the series The Sopranos. He also directed 4 episodes of the project.
Look, I've been away from all this a long time. I mean, if I got a shot at staying out and putting shit together, I should take it.
Oh.
Curiously enough, in the scene where Tony fights with Gloria Trillo, it was Steve who successfully threw a stake at the main character's head after numerous failed attempts by the actress and the set designers. The series was extremely popular with viewers and was aired for 6 seasons. It subsequently achieved cult status and won 122 movie awards during its run. Buscemi himself has been nominated for SAG and Emmy Awards. Then, Steve starred in the musical comedy Romance and Cigarettes, sci-fi thrillers The Island, the anthology film Paris, I Love You, and comedy drama Delirious, and also took part in the voiceover of the animated film Monster House and the fantasy comedy drama Charlotte's Web. In 2007, Steve appeared in the buddy comedy I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, the romantic comedy I Think I Love My Wife, and the drama Interview, in which he not only played the lead role, journalist Pierre, but also wrote and directed the movie. By the way, the role of his on-screen brother was played by his real-life brother, Michael Buscemi. He also appeared in the show 30 Rock, where he also acted as a director. For his role in the project, the actor was nominated for an Emmy Award.
Hello, Len.
Thanks for meeting me here, Mr. Donaghy.
You, staking out a cheating husband?
No, I'm taking a photography class.
In 2008, Steve appeared in an episode of the series ER and also took part in the voiceover of the animated film Igor. A year later, he gave his voice to a character in the animated movie G-Force. At that time, his filmography was expanded with the dramas Youth in Revolt, The Messenger, John Raby, Rage, Handsome Harry, and St. John of Las Vegas, which he also co-produced. In 2010, Buscemi starred in the comedies Pete Smalls is Dead, The Chosen One, and Grown Ups. He also starred in the TV series Boardwalk Empire, portraying a corrupt Atlantic County treasurer.
Without the continued support of good, decent women like you, men like me would be nowhere.
The character was based on the real-life politician and criminal Enoch Nucky Johnson. By the way, Steve looks nothing like him. When Steve was first offered the role, he thought it was a joke. The actor was so used to playing minor characters that he couldn't believe it. The series was extremely popular with viewers and was aired for 5 seasons. During this time, Buscemi received numerous nominations and film awards, including 4 Screen Actors Guild Awards and 1 Golden Globe. Steve's fee for shooting 1 episode was $75,000, totaling $4.2 million for the entire project. Then Buscemi's filmography was expanded with the thriller Rampart, the drama On the Road, and the series Portlandia, in which he also acted as a director. For his role in the series, Steve was nominated for Emmy Award. He also voiced a character in the animated film Hotel Transylvania. In 2013, the actor starred in the comedies The Incredible Burt Wonderstone and Grown Ups 2, and also took part in the voiceover of the animated films Kumba and Monster University. A year later, Steve appeared in the fantasy comedy The Cobbler and the drama Time Out of Mind. In 2015, Steve took part in the voiceover of the animated film Hotel Transylvania 2 and also appeared on The Jim Gaffigan Show and in the comedy The Ridiculous Six. That same year, Buscemi hosted his own comedy talk show Park Bench, which was visited by quite a few famous faces of Hollywood. In the following years, he voiced characters in the animated projects Bob's Burgers, The Boss Baby, Transformers The Last Night, SpongeBob SquarePants, Neo Yokio, Elena of Avalor, and Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation. In addition, the actor appeared in the TV series Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, also co-directing it, Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams, Horace and Pete, and Broad City. He also starred in the drama Lean on Pete, the thrillers Norman and Nancy, and the comedies The Death of Stalin and The Week Of. In 2019, Buscemi starred in the horror film The Dead Don't Die and the TV series Miracle Workers, portraying God who is tired of caring for Earth's inhabitants. He also acted as one of the producers of the project.
I've decided to blow up Earth. And, I guess that's it. All right.
In the same year, a tragedy occurred in Steve's life. His wife passed away from a serious illness. The celebrities were very happy together, and their marriage was an example to follow. The actor then took part in the voiceover of the animated series Scooby-Doo and Guess Who and Rick and Morty, and also starred in the comedy Hubie Halloween and the drama The King of Staten Island, where he played the familiar role of a firefighter.
You know, everybody gets a little scared. It's keeps you honest. No, if you don't get scared, there's something wrong with you. By the way, your dad never got scared.
In 2021, Buscemi was spotted taking a walk with a new love interest named Karen Ho, and they were recently seen shopping for engagement rings. In 2022, the actor again voiced his character in the animated film Hotel Transylvania Transformania, and also played the lead role in the drama The Year Between. A year later, he starred in the TV series Bupkis, the comedy Vacation Friends 2, and also took part in the voiceover of the animated series Crapopolis and Digman. In January 2024, the comedy Carol and Gray, starring Buscemi, was released, and the comedy drama The Shallow Tale of a Writer Who Decided to Write About a Serial Killer is in the post-production stage. Steve has played many colorful, distinctive roles over the years of his career. It is rumored that the publishers of the Guinness Book of World Records were going to dedicate a separate page for it, and his colleagues described him as the cinematic equivalent of junk mail. As of today, the celebrity's net worth is estimated at $35 million. The actor receives an average of $1 to $2 million for his movie roles. He also makes money through advertising contracts. At one time, the actor was featuring in commercials for New York clothing brand Kith, wireless headphones, Beats Audio, and Michelob Ultra Beer. The actor also engaged in social activism. He regularly speaks at rallies against the closing of fire stations. In 2003, Steve was even arrested along with others during a protest. For the past decade, the man has worked with the Friends of Firefighters, a charity that provides free mental health services and counseling to active or retired firefighters and their families. Interestingly enough, Buscemi once visited Philadelphia's Eastern State Penitentiary, believed to be one of the most haunted places in the U.S., while scouting locations for a new movie. He became so interested in the history of the institution that he even voiced an audio tour of the prison. Steve now resides in a brownstone home on 5th Street in Park Slope, Brooklyn. He previously owned real estate in Los Angeles. The 4,300 square foot home was listed for sale in 2009 for $6.25 million. To date, his filmography includes about 150 films of various genres. What is your favorite movie starring Steve Buscemi?
All right, good luck.
If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything interesting.